Welcome to the Highly Effective Man podcast, hosted by former Navy SEAL turned life and fitness coach. I'm your host, JP Bolwan. This podcast is your resource for unlocking the healthiest, most productive, and highly effective man within you. Let's go. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Highly Effective Man podcast. I'm really excited today to share with you guys one of my mentors. He's been an inspiration in my life, and that would be an understatement. I mean, the guy is pretty amazing, and when I think of highly effective men, he comes at the top of the list. He's been in USA weightlifting for a long time. He created CrossFit weightlifting, created Burgener strength, which is now what CrossFit weightlifting used to be. He's coached many national champions in weightlifting, and has just been super effective with his life. Not to mention that he was a part of the 1966, is that right? 1966 national champions.
Long time ago.
With Notre Dame. But I mean, the guy's done a lot in his life, and not to mention has 4 kids, an amazing wife, and we're sitting here on his deck looking out at SoCal. It's a beautiful day, nice and sunny, probably about in the 70s, and it's amazing. It's the kind of life that you dream of, and so I'm excited. He's the first guest to have on my podcast, and I don't know. I'm super excited. So welcome, Coach B.
Thank you, JP. I appreciate that. Look at this, man. I mean, you said it, 75 degrees, and it's a beautiful, beautiful day. And hey, we're blessed to be able to be out here and enjoy this warm weather while people back east are freezing their hind ends off, right?
That's right.
But this is something else, and I'm glad you're here, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, this podcast is all about mindset, nutrition, productivity, and I think that there's been a lot of podcasts that you've been on that you've talked about a lot of weightlifting and stuff like that. And I guess I don't know if you've talked about mindset or not, but I'm just curious as to when you're looking at maybe an athlete, or maybe when you were coaching a lot of athletes before, like, what is a type of mindset that you were looking for? And that's, I guess, part one. And then part two, was there a way to change that mindset or develop another type of mindset for that?
That's really a good question. When people come to me, they all want to be able to snatch and clean and jerk and front squat and lift heavier weights, and they really don't have an idea about what their goals and objectives really are, what they should be, based on what they're trying to accomplish, through weightlifting. And, for me, I'm the purist. I'm the Olympic weightlifting coach. The people that I want to train are the people that want to go to the Olympic Games. That's who I want to be able to coach. Now, having said that, the snatch, the clean and jerk are great tools for all athletics. I mean, you're looking at, explosiveness. You're looking at total body, full body movement patterns that are, used for that athlete to enhance his performance in other sports. So, but the way that you attack the weightlifter and the way you attack the football player or track athlete are, a little bit different goal sets. But the idea is that if that athlete is going to be an effective athlete, and if he's going to reach the goals that he has to reach, then you got to have 100% commitment from that athlete. And at the same time, I'm not going to take an athlete on in my realm unless I get that 100%, because I'm going to give that athlete 100% of my time, my energy, and we're going to push through those hard times. And there's going to be a lot of hard times, a lot of frustrations, a lot of wonderful, progress. But at the same time, there's a lot of, oh my God, today I feel terrible. Oh, then tomorrow, oh my God, I feel great today. So you're going to have your peaks and your valleys and that type of thing. But, when I work with athletes, I got to have that 100% commitment from them.
Right.
And, because they're going to get 100% commitment from me.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a good point, right? Like anytime you're chasing a goal, it's not always going to be unicorns and rainbows, right? There's going to be those
I wish
valleys.
it was.
Yeah. There's always going to be, maybe those setbacks or whatever it is. I mean, it could be something as simple as, getting up every day at 5 a.m., right? Like there's going to be that day that you miss the alarm clock or whatever it is. But I think it happens a lot in nutrition. People that are, want to be weightlifters, people that want to accomplish good things, there's going to be those up and downs, right? And I guess, do you have any specific insight or techniques that you think about, like when you maybe had an athlete that was struggling, that you'd like to share? Yeah.
Well, the sharing is that don't beat yourself up, and the idea of just knowing that there are going to be peaks and valleys. I mean, it's like, okay, today was a bad day. Well, tomorrow, make it a good day. And what does that mean? If you go back in your training and you remember with the way I trained athletes, I have a perceived exertion scale that I always used with my athletes. And, perceived exertion is tied into a percentage. So a 10 on a perceived exertion scale is 100%. A 1 is hardly anything. It's a PVC pipe or a barbell or whatever. And if today's an 80% day, that's going to be an 8 on a perceived exertion. But today maybe I'm feeling a 9. Oh my God, and I'm like, okay, if it's an 80% day, but I'm feeling a 9, I need to back off a little bit,
Right,
but if it's an 80% day, but I'm feeling a 7, oh my goodness, I can now push it up better than before, So perceived exertion for me is always being able to stay within the moment of how I feel and try to get away from expectations. Oh, today I've got to hit 80%. Because what happens if you don't hit 80%? Do you beat yourself up? Most athletes will beat themselves up. So you're trying to have that great day. So today everything's feeling wonderful. Geez, I can really push the bucket. So if I'm going at 90%, but 90% feels like 80%.
Yeah.
Whoa, man, that is good stuff. So, but at the same time, if I'm supposed to go to 80%, but I'm at 60% and that feels like 80%, I need to back off. So I need to stay at 60%. So it gives me the idea of being able to not beat myself up, but achieve that 8 on a perceived exertion and to be able to extrapolate that to mean that today's an 80% day.
Yeah, I think that's good to know because it happens so much, especially in nutrition, weight loss,
right,
stuff like that, where, people, they miss the mark, they beat themselves up, and then they just throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think you also said a critical thing there too, where you were like, just being aware of the peaks and valleys, like, right? Just because how many times do people go into goals just thinking it's going to be, it's all great, and there's not going to be any struggle, right? And then the moment the struggle hits, it's like, oh my God, like, but just being aware that there's going to be those points, I think just kind of sets you up for success. And then at the same time, like you said, don't beat yourself up. Like if your body's not feeling it, then it's not feeling it. That's okay. Like maybe it will the next day or whatever it is, right? And
yeah, I always like the New Year's resolution, right? So everybody at the New Year's resolution, this year I'm going to do this, this, and this. And about day 2 or 3, the New Year's resolution, but you know what? Start the New Year's resolution over again.
Yeah.
New Year's resolution can be in May. I mean, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just try to be the best that you can be, and understand that we are going to have peaks and valleys. And, if you miss a day of what you wanted to accomplish, well, tomorrow's another day. Meet it tomorrow.
Nice. So the next question I want to ask you is like I told you what the name of the podcast is, right? Like the highly effective man. And when you hear that, like what comes to mind? Like, what do you think about? What is, I guess, when you think of a highly effective man, what does that mean to you? And is there anybody that comes to mind when you think of that?
Boy, the highly effective man to me is, I guess I'd probably say I'd go back, oh my goodness, to 1968, 69, 65 at Notre Dame, and watching and studying Ara Parseghian. Parseghian was my head football coach at the University of Notre Dame. He led our team to the '66 national championship. While I was at Notre Dame, I had the opportunity to be trained by Father B.H.B. Lang, who was a Catholic priest and probably one of the only weight rooms during that time in the United States at the collegiate level. So these guys were true men that led by example. Now, these guys, they weren't perfect by any means, but they were men that said things that they meant and meant what they said. I mean, it was, they weren't afraid to say, you know what, I really messed up. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, do this or that or whatever. But you could, anytime I was in their presence, it was like, whoa, this is in the presence of greatness. And they were just normal men. They just were people that led by example. And what I mean is that, Parseghian was always telling us, you get over to the gym and lift weights, get in the handball courts, racquetball courts, get your quickness going. I'd walk over to the Rockland Memorial on any given day, and during lunch period, his whole staff was down in the handball courts and racquetball courts playing racquetball. So they were preaching, they were leading by example, and I think for me, the highly effective leader, whether it's a military leader, a corporate leader, is the guy that will never ask his employees or his troops or his team to do anything that he's not willing to do. And I think, you go back to the greatness of leadership, and I'll bet you that the great leaders are the ones that probably follow that principle.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, leading by example is huge. And, we kind of talked about a little bit about what you've done. I'm sure I left some major things off of, like your accomplishments and stuff like that. I guess, so my question to you is, when you think back, like what motivated you? I mean, because playing football at Notre Dame was obviously no easy feat, right? I can't remember what you've snatched or what you've cleaned and jerked, but I'm sure that wasn't easy either. Coaching with, the way the athletes can be, some are all in and some, they disappear, especially in weightlifting where there's no money, like, like other sports, like you lose them to other sports. Like what motivated you or keeps driving you to push the way you do? I mean, how old are you again right now?
75.
Yeah, 75. And, you've got your group of guys that you work out with every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And what motivates you and what maybe motivated you in the past to accomplish everything that you've accomplished?
Well, I'm not a smart person, but what I am is a person that is extremely motivated.
Yeah.
And I found out early that I was good at some things. Excuse me. And those some things were athletics. Book learning wasn't my forte, but my dad was such a hard driver for me that he said I had to have a B- average if I was ever going to do anything. And if I wanted to play sports, then I had to have this B- average. So I believed him. If I didn't carry a B- average, he was going to take me out of sports. And so for me, I found out that I was fast. I had good eye-hand coordination. I was a good athlete, and I thought that if I was ever going to do anything, that it was going to be through athletics. And I'll never forget my freshman year in high school. We had a coach. His name was Clay DeMotti, and Clay was he's the guy that put me as an offensive halfback and a defensive halfback. Excuse me, and And my very first game I ever played in high school as a freshman, I ran a touchdown back from the kickoff.
Nice. That's
And
a great way to
I
start.
mean, it was amazing. But the point is that this kid tried to tackle me, and I ran him over, and I didn't even know I ran him over. And it was
wow.
it was one of those things that I knew that there's my forte. And it was just that I knew I was going to be a good athlete, and if I wanted to get an education, which my mom and dad really believed in, that I was going to have to get a scholarship because we didn't have any money for education at that point. But that was it. And so, I'm just one of those idiots that, I am going to give you 110 dadgum% of everything that I have, and I'm never going to quit on you. And I think that attitude is the attitude that you must have with a family, a job, whatever it is. And there are going to be ups and downs and setbacks and great elations and rewards. But the bottom line is that you just don't take yourself too seriously and just give 100%, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah. Is there any struggles that come to mind, maybe on the coaching side or as the athlete side, or even as a father, like any struggles that come to mind? And if so, like how did you overcome those struggles?
Well, I'm still working on them. I mean, at 75, I still have struggles.
Yeah.
We all do. Life isn't all rainbows and unicorns, as you said. It's
not according to my daughter, but yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. But I think as I look back on my life, and man, I was blessed to have the parents that I had. I mean, for me, I grew up in a coal mining agricultural community. And I can remember my dad taking me down to Jake's Tire and Recap as a 9th grader to make sure I had a summer job because I was a little hard to handle. But my dad was absolutely the most loving man, hard core loving man. But if it wasn't for him, who knows where I would have been. Maybe I would have been in the Marine Corps in the 9th grade or something. I don't know. But the bottom line is that, struggles are there. And the moms and dads and parents, you come up growing up and you're convinced that at 20, 25 years old, how dumb your parents are. I mean, dad, mom, oh my God. And then in a mere 10 years, they all of a sudden got smart.
Yeah.
How did they all of a sudden get so smart? It's because obviously, right, they were smart to begin with, but your experience have gone, well, maybe my mom and dad aren't so dumb after all.
Yeah.
And so that's what goes on in your life. I mean, at 75, I still have pictures of my mom and dad up on my wall, and I talk to them in these pictures, and I'm going, Thank you a lot. I appreciate you guys. I didn't back then. And I had 2 sisters, and my 2 sisters they were nothing but a pain in the rear end to me. Mm-hmm. Now, at 75 and all the, the life experiences and hopefully the wisdom that I've gained, I love them so much, it's unbelievable. And it's where maybe in the past you don't think about stuff. You're so wrapped up in your own little thing, but look at this.
Like the day-to-day type stuff. Yeah.
God, stop and enjoy the smell of the roses and stuff like that. Doesn't mean you can't be a great coach or a great mentor or whatever. It just means, you know what? Let's just breathe the air and see the sunshine and enjoy it. It's really important that we do that, I think.
Yeah.
And not take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah, and I don't know who said this, but it's like a quote they say, how's it go? It goes, this didn't happen to you, it happened for you. Right? And sometimes when we're going through hard things or whatever it is, it's like, oh man, this is happening to me. This is, why did this happen to me? This type of thing, like kind of playing the victim, right? And then, but all those struggles, right? Like we start, we become stronger as we overcome those struggles. Right. And when you say your dad was a hard man, I can just imagine what that might be like, and it in turn probably made you a harder man, right? And you probably, I know your kids, and they're all great kids, and hard people in their own way, right? And it's really impressive, and to be honest, like I look at myself with my kids, and I'm like, how can I raise some great kids and be like Coach B in a lot of things. And so I think that's really cool. And I see you now working out with the old guys, the Geezer Club, right? And so talk to me about, because you're, like you said, you're 75, right? You're probably not doing the same things that you were doing before, but I guess when you think about your workout program, what do you look for? What do you want to do? That type of thing. And what do you see yourself doing in 5-10 years?
Yeah, I think that's a great question for everybody as we get older. I don't have the expectations that I had when I was younger, but I have expectations. And my expectations are, you get a lot of that stuff from, the military, is you put one foot in front of the other on a daily basis. You don't, okay, I'm going to run a mile. I'm not thinking about that mile. I'm thinking about one step at a time. One step at a time. So when I come in here and got my workout, I know what my workout is. I know I'm going to work the workout. I'm going to do this workout, and I'm going to finish that workout. Now, how fast do I finish it? Well, some days may be faster than other days, but I am going to finish that daggum workout, and it's going to be one step at a time. I got 3 hills to walk backwards. I've got to do my anterior tib raise, my knees over the toe workout I'm going to do all of that stuff, and it is going to get done 3 days a week, period. Yeah. Some days are faster than others, and some days are slower than others. But that's just the mindset that I'm not here to win a race. I'm here to make myself better so that I can hopefully live a little bit more healthy lifestyle so that my children and my grandchildren can want to play pickleball with me,
right.
And still be able to move on a pickleball court, and or whatever.
Tell me what you told me about playing with your grandson.
Oh, my grandson. Oh, Mikey. So Mikey and the boss. The boss is my wife, but Mikey and the boss and I play pickleball on Tuesdays or Thursdays. And my wife is nice, and she hits the ball back to him, and he beats her. But I told Mikey, I said, I'm going to kick your butt because I know that right now, at 75, in about a year or two, or even before that, you're going to be kicking my butt. So I'm going to enjoy every bit of it that I can. Yeah. And he just tells me, he just says, well, just bring it on, Pacha.
Yeah. No, and I think, that to me, that's amazing, right? I think that's such a great, even something as simple as that, like that's such a great goal to have, like for somebody like me who's 44 or, somebody that's maybe in their 30s is like thinking ahead to when they're 75, are you going to be able to play pickleball with your grandson and beat them, right? Like, there's a lot of people that I think right now would ask themselves that and be like, I don't know if I can say yes to that, right? Yeah. And so it's like, so if the answer isn't yes, then the question has to be like, what do I need to do so that I can get to that point, right? Like, how do I need to eat? How do I need to work out? How do I need to live my life so that I'm still around, one, to be still around, be at 75, right. And then at the same time, be healthy enough to play sports with my kids, and who knows what sports will be around in 30 years from now, right? It's like
exactly.
Pickleball is kind of like a new thing, but it's a lot of fun, that's for sure.
Well, I love to tell the story about pickleball because I just found it, right?
Yeah.
And but 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the Pickleball USA champions were in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Now the Pickleball US champions are in their teens and 20s.
Oh, wow.
So the sport is growing leaps and bounds, and as it should. But it's like, okay, you know what? going out there and playing and not take it too serious. I'm not going to be a national champion. I don't care to be, but I want to kick Mikey's ass or my, as long as I can. So, and that's just, I think it's important that he sees that. Yeah. Granted, Nana can baby him, but Pacha is not going to baby him.
Yeah. That's good. Let's talk about nutrition, right? So I've known you for years, right? And you've tried different things. I know you've done a lot of fasting and stuff. And so what have you found to be the most effective for you to, I guess, maintain your current weight, or just what do you feel like is the most effective for you when it comes to nutrition?
Well, I think you have to have a semi-plan for me. Mm-hmm. I have certain things that I try to go through on a yearly basis. I do fast, and I do go through my Lent protocol with no alcohol and things like that during that time of Lent. But I think I have a plan of attack basically going forward, and that to me is more of a paleo-ish, keto-ish time. But I don't ever hold myself 100% to anything like that, because I just don't want to be in a situation where if I fail, I'm going to beat myself up. We get right back to that thing again. Right, right. It's like, okay, so I'm not going to eat carbs I'm going to eat 15 grams of carbs for a week, every day for a week to see what happens. And I'm going to adhere to that. Mm-hmm. But if, day 3 I eat 50 grams of carbs or 75 grams of carbs, that's still pretty good. Yeah. So, as long as I don't go on my bender and start eating chips and dip and all that kind of stuff, it's okay. However, even if I did, I start it again tomorrow. Yeah. Because tomorrow's another day. I'm not going to beat myself up and then say, okay, I went off this thing, so now, it's coming down and, I'm just going, okay, I'll start again tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful statement, right? Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, I didn't do it. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. Just start tomorrow.
Start tomorrow again. Yeah, and that, I got that from Rob Wolf and his group. We talked about, I've known Rob forever, but I mean, hey, coach, man, just do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today wasn't the day you wanted, so tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's an important, if that's your goals, to do that, and whatever that goal is, I'm going to work for it, then, have some fun doing it.
Right. I like that. So just for like the audience, right? When you say paleo-ish, keto-ish, you're saying like, okay, I'm going to eat more whole foods, and just less carbs. Is that right?
Yeah, I will eat more. I'm not afraid of fats, good fats, avocado, grass-fed butter, ribeye steaks. But I'm not afraid of eating a baked potato with butter on it either. I mean, I haven't had one in a while, but I'm not afraid of having that. So for me, I might cook up a tri-tip and, eat a pound of tri-tip and be satiated. I mean, I don't want to eat anything else because I've eaten that pound of tri-tip. And then tomorrow I might eat a half a pound of tri-tip and maybe have that baked potato, or I love broccoli, believe it or not. But, broccoli and
plain, or do you put anything on it?
I just salt and pepper, that kind of thing. Yeah. But I'll steam the broccoli, and I like that kind of stuff. I like a lot of one of my favorite dishes, believe it or not, is I will take a whole chicken, throw it in a crock pot, and then put salsa, a can or a big jar of salsa in the crock pot with it, and I'll cook it over 8 hours.
Yeah.
And I'll have that chicken with the salsa in it, and I'll splay the chicken, and I can eat it just like that. Or, an hour before the chicken's done, I'll throw in some mushrooms or broccoli or whatever. Now I've got myself a little stew.
Yeah,
basically.
Nice.
That kind of thing. I'm not afraid to go total 100% carnivore either.
Yeah.
which I've done, and I like it. I love ribeye steaks, and eating carnivore. Or I have a buddy over here that raises bison, and I go over and buy, $1,000 worth of meat, and eat a lot of bison and London broil bisons and those kind of things, ribs, and I might go a week of eating nothing but carnivore, and see how I feel. And I like to play around with different things,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I like my beer and I
Yeah.
like my bourbon.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to, do that either. I don't want to be dialed in so tight that if I make a mistake, I'm just going to beat myself up.
Right.
Now, if I'm a 75-year-old going to compete in a bodybuilding contest, well, then now,
Now you got to change.
Now
some
I've
things,
got to change some things.
Right.
But that's why I'm a 75-year-old and not competing in bodybuilding contests.
Yeah. No, I think that's important, right? To give yourself some leeway if that's what you enjoy, right? Like if you enjoy to have a drink here and there or whatever it is, it's like, you got to give yourself some leeway to be like that, right? And set yourself up so that you can and not go overboard and be in a situation where you are beating yourself up, where you're unhappy with the way you look or the way you feel and stuff like that, or you're unhealthy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know you have I guess you could call it a ritual, right? An evening ritual. And I, and it's funny because I came to your house the other night, right? Cause we're staying here. It was probably 10:30 at night, and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna be asleep. It's gonna be so dark." And I was like, "We got to be quiet, make sure we don't wake him up." And I went to go check on some clothes, and I see the sauna, and you're in the sauna, right? I was like, "Oh man, he's doing his evening ritual." So tell me a little bit about your evening ritual, and if you have any morning rituals as well, like why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, the evening ritual. The boss goes to bed around 9:00, and you can hear Piper
chasing a rabbit,
chasing whatever. And so anyway, the boss goes to bed around 9:00. She goes up and reads, takes Piper with her. Piper has got to have her potty break, and then she goes up, and then that's my signal to go in and start the sauna. And I turn it on, and it takes about 15 or 20 minutes to heat up to 150, 160 degrees. And so then, because it's wintertime, it takes a little bit longer. So every night I go in the sauna, then it's 150, 160, and it'll heat up to 180. And I'm in there for 20 minutes. I do my stretching. I do a lot of self-reflection. I do a lot of self-talking. Hey, dumbass, what are you going to do tomorrow? Type thing, It's my time of trying to make myself with my knees better and more flexible, but think about what's going to happen, with my children, just reflection, basically.
Yeah.
And then when the timer goes off, after I've been in there for 20, 24, 25 minutes, I shave in the sauna every night, and take my razor and open the door and sprint to the pool and dive in 48-degree water and, yell and scream and get out as fast as I can and then go take a cold shower and suds down and then go in the sauna. The door's open now and starting to cool down, and I just dry off and that's what happens. And go upstairs, turn on my little heating pad, and lay down on that, fall asleep, and sleep for 6, 7, 8 hours. And usually, as older I get, it's been more like 8. But and then in the morning, I get up and I have my little ritual of making coffee and watching the news and making sure Piper's taken care of. And then 8:00, the geezers come in on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go down and try to play some pickleball.
Nice.
So I'm blessed. You know what?
Oh, for sure.
Man.
Yeah. It's so I like that ritual, right? And so because when I first met you, it was like the jacuzzi and the sauna and stuff like that. And so I'm just curious as to what inspired that, or what you believe that does for you, right? Because I think there's benefits. There's been people that have talked about the benefits of the sauna and stuff like that. And so, what benefits have you seen, or do you feel like they do for you?
Yeah. Well, I think the rituals is something that's more than anything for me personally. But I mean, I know that when I'm in the sauna, and my whole circulatory system is just opened up, and I'm breathing this eucalyptus and peppermint oil in the sauna with the tub of water the ladle and the tub of water that I have, and I throw on the coals. It's just a mind healthy. I think my immune system is just has gone overboard, because I do that every night. I miss once in a while. I might miss, but for the most part, 7 days a week, I'll do this. And then in the afternoon, if it's colder weather, I'll jump in the jacuzzi too. But it's just something that physically, I think it makes me feel better, obviously, but mentally, it's just wow. Again, it's just that one step of taking every second, every minute that you can, and enjoy what you have.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you don't have ups and downs either. I mean, that's the other thing. But if I've had a bad day, I can walk in that sauna, and now all of a sudden that reflection time, is extremely important.
Oh, I think that's huge. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed as I've gotten more into the mindset space or the coaching space, and especially like around productivity, nutrition, like, having that time to be alone with your thoughts without distractions. Right. And I think the sauna is amazing for that. Right.
Is, right.
I don't know how much writing you can do in there or whatever, but just having that time, it's like meditation, right? It's a form of meditation where you can kind of just take all the noise out and just reflect and figure out life, I guess.
I hate to say this, but there's nothing for me more relaxing that when I've been in the sauna for 10 minutes, and I pick up my razor and I start shaving.
Yeah.
In the sauna. Now, I don't have any shaving cream. I don't have any of that kind of stuff. But I just have a nice Gillette razor.
Just a K-bar or something like
that? Yeah, just a K-bar. And I'm telling you, that ritual.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. That's all it is a ritual. It's that part of that closure of the day.
Yeah.
The sun's gone down. It's darker than hell. The moon's coming out. And it's that ritual to end the day, and I know that what's coming next is the cold plunge.
Yeah.
And the cold shower. But then I'm going to hit that heating pad it's 130 degrees on the heating pad. But my body is chilled. Mm-hmm. And I get on that heating pad, and I tell you, the day's gone.
Yeah.
It's done. And I am so relaxed. And I think that's important, that you have to quiet. You have to quiet the mind. And one of my favorite quotes it's not even a quote, but it's one of my favorite movies is The Last Samurai. Mm-hmm. And when the guy, the warrior is fighting, and he's trying to get these samurais, he can't beat them. And this guy keeps kicking his butt, and then finally he tells the guy, no mind. He's thinking too much.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is my time where it's done. The day's done. No mind. Yeah. Nothing. I'm not thinking about anything. Yeah. I'm going to bed. My day is done. My ritual is finished. I've had a highly effective day, and I'm put it to rest. And even if my day wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, it is now. Because that's the end of the day.
Yeah.
Everything is put to rest at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's my ritual.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I mean, if there's anything that the listeners should get from this conversation is having some kind of ritual where they can reset themselves and prepare themselves, for, either closing out the day or beginning the day, right? And I think something as simple as making coffee in the morning is a ritual as well, right?
Sure. Yeah. Old school percolator coffee on the stove. I mean, it can't get any more old school than that.
Yeah. I guess one last question, and it would be like, you do a lot, right? And you did a lot, right? With 4 kids, you were a coach, a weightlifting coach. You were a teacher, and what did you find was the best way to keep everything in track and keep you productive? Like whether it be like a planner. I mean, back then they didn't have, smartphones and stuff like that, but I imagine you probably use your smartphone now, or maybe you still use a planner.
I journal every day.
Okay.
I have those little moleskin notebooks, and
That's
I
right.
do the 8.5 by 11, and I write what I have to get done during the day. I just write it out. One of my notes you could go up there and see, and it says "eat cleaner." Because I had a bad day, right?
Okay.
So I make little notes like that. I go in, and on my notes, there's about once a week or so I go in and I weigh. I might even take a picture, and I call it a accountability picture.
Yeah.
And I store that on my smartphone. But back in the day, that's exactly what we used. There was a guy by the name of Covey. I can't even remember his name, but he was from Salt Lake City, Utah, I think, and he had a planner.
Mm-hmm. Like Frankly Covey or Stephen Covey.
Stephen Covey.
Yeah.
Stephen Covey.
You know what? So that's one of the inspirations for this podcast, is that one of my favorite books is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Right, Stephen Covey.
Right, and so they have the planners and stuff like that,
right.
and that's cool.
And then there was a guy by the name of Steve Kenyon that's up in Sacramento, who was a really good friend of mine, and he was extremely organized.
Okay.
And he was almost anal about it. Well, I didn't want to get that anal, but I played around with Covey's stuff and started, making little notes and things. And I found that for me, the little journal that I had, that 8.5 by 11 thing was just those little square papers, was what I needed, because that's the way I operated best,
Yeah.
And, but I've been doing that since, when I was in the Marine Corps, back in the 60s and 70s. You just take notes, and God, I can't remember crap, So if I don't write it down, I'm not gonna remember it.
Yeah. It's funny. Because I do think that we carry a lot of stuff in our heads.
Yeah.
Right. And it's easy to forget things.
Right.
It's easy to allow all that stuff in our head to just, it can create a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And so like if you're thinking about things, whereas like where if you've written it down, you don't even have to think about it anymore. You just got to look at you just have to remember to look at that book, right?
Yeah. Well, that is exactly right, because I think we were talking about this the other day. If I didn't at 75, I'm telling you, okay, I'm thinking I got to go over here and do this, and all of a sudden, 30 seconds goes by and I'm doing something else. What the hell do I have to go back and get? I forgot.
Yeah.
So I'm either going to go get it done right now, or I'm going to write it down so I don't have to forget it.
Right. No, I think that's great. And one thing that, when you were talking about being in the Marine Corps and writing stuff down, like I still have notebooks of when I was in the Navy as a SEAL and stuff like that. And it's funny, like I never think about what was going on when I write those notes, but like, when I go back to those notes, I know exactly where I was, what was happening, what I was thinking about, that type of stuff. And I think that's really cool. I wish I would have journaled more or written more, when I was, still in the teams and stuff like that. And that's one thing that I'm trying to be better about now.
Yeah. Just remember what you just said.
Yeah.
Because you're 44 now.
Yeah.
And you got 2 babies.
Yeah.
Now, you don't want to be at 60 saying, geez, I wish I would have
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so
right.
just write them down. That's it. Doesn't have to be elaborate. It's just you know, okay, eat cleaner. Boom, boom, ugly face because I've been really bad. You know, or hey, Lent. And what happens when I start Lent? The first day of Lent, I put a number 1 and circle it on.
Yeah.
The second day of Lent, I put a number 2.
Nice.
Third day of Lent, I put a number 3.
Yeah.
I know that there's 40 days that are going to happen.
Yeah.
So when that gets to 40, I get to have another beer.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but day 39 is easier than day 1.
Day 1 is absolutely a bear.
Yeah.
If you have a habit
right.
of enjoying a couple beers, you know, or maybe a glass of whiskey or something periodically.
Yeah.
And for me, it's in threes. So I have to have the 3 days after 3 days, I'm like, I don't even think about it.
I like that.
I am not breaking this.
Yeah.
And at 3 weeks, that's 21 days. I'm half through.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so I can kick butt and take names.
Right. Right.
You know, at 3 months, if I go to, and I've done 3 months fast before of no alcohol, I mean, it's almost painful to start drinking again.
That's interesting you say that, because I started thinking, okay, like that's a great a concept for people, right? If I can do it 3 days, I can do it 40 days, right?
You can do it forever.
And it also made me think about Hell Week, right? No, I'm serious, right?
Yeah,
so like
I
Hell
know.
Week, because for the most part, you know, if you don't know what Hell Week is, you know, you can go back to previous episodes and I talk about it. But it's basically an evolution that starts on Sunday, ends on Friday, and it's a big weeding out process for people that are becoming Navy SEALs. But what we say is that usually, if people can make it through Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, that it's almost automatic that they're going to finish it out to Friday, right? We actually say, like, we even say, like, oh, they're on auto, right? And it's because you get most of your quitters, you know, within that first and second day, because all they can think about is how hard and difficult it's going to be and how much longer they got to go, right? I mean, I don't know. I never quit Hell Week, thank God. But, you know, from experience as a SEAL on both sides, right? Like as a student and as an instructor, you could see like the guys that do have put in the work for 3 days or whatever it is, not to my knowledge, have I ever met somebody that quit after maybe Wednesday morning or something like that, you know. No. There might have been like medical roles or something like that,
well,
but
those things you have anyway, right? But it's a mind thing. It is, and that's where I'm thinking. That's what I said a long time ago. You know, for me, the best recourse is no mind.
Yeah,
you just
go
one step at a time.
Yeah,
one freaking breath at a time. It's like, you know, I can tell you, I've been around situations where there was some alcoholism or, you know, drug use and whatever. And as part of my experience, I went through an Al-Anon program, which is, you know, I don't want to get into it a lot, but it's not AA or anything like that for me, but it's for, you know, alcoholics or whatever. You're there. And I can remember going in, and I'm in a room, and I'm counting the seconds. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, because it was literally 1 second of a time. And having me be able to take a breath, there's 15 seconds gone by, 60, and just going to that concept, I can get through this.
Yeah,
I can get through it. You know, I can make this happen. Because it's 1 step, 1 second, one minuscule of a second at a time. Yeah, and that's progress. As long as that line is linear, then you're in good shape. Yeah. And even if it's linear and all of a sudden it takes a deviation, but you're back to linear, you're in good shape. Yeah. So I think that's important to know.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I mean, like you said, 1 step, 1 second, sometimes when we're thinking about these massive goals, they almost seem overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
But if you break it up into smaller pieces, like you just said, it does help to get to the finish line.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're in a team thing, then that's important too. Your team, and don't be first, don't be last.
That's tough when you're super competitive, though, huh? For sure.
I know. Well, it depends on what you're going after, right?
Yeah. Wow. Well, this went better than I imagined, really. I think this is great. I think there's a lot of nuggets of wisdom that you shared with us, Coach.
Thank you.
I think, is there anything that you want to tell? Like, so if you're listening to this, like this is my coach. He taught me how to lift weights properly, how to get strong. And, if you're any bit interested in learning how to lift weights properly, like the Olympic lifts, like snatch, clean, and jerk, you have to check out Burgener Strength. Is it burgenerstrength.com?
Yep, burgenerstrength.com. Yeah, that business is owned by Bo.
Yeah.
And it's
Bo's your son, right?
Bo's my son. Yeah. He's the guy that owns the rights to it. It's my curriculum. But he's the business owner, and it's like life. It's the fundamentals, fundamentals of being a good weightlifter, stance, grip, and positions.
Yeah.
Life is exactly the same way. Just about anything that you achieve to do, it's going to be stance, grip, and positions. It's all going to be ground based.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's such a great course. Like, it can take anybody who doesn't know how to snatch, doesn't know how to clean and jerk, and have them snatching and clean and jerking at the end of 2 days of work, right? Like, It doesn't mean they're going to be world record holders or anything like that, right? But they're going to have the fundamentals. Right. They're going to be able to do it safely.
Right.
And I think it's important, not especially for coaches, right? If you're a coach and you haven't taken that, then you're wrong. But if you're just an individual that likes to lift weights and do those type of movements, like, that's such a great course.
Yeah. The whole thing is based on what we're talking about. It's literally the foundations. It's the fundamentals, and then you work drills and skills.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. Our goal is to teach a coach how to teach a 40-year-old soccer mom who's never lifted weights before, but all of a sudden she's got involved with CrossFit because her best friend lost 20 pounds doing this stuff, and the Olympic lifts are just part of it.
Yeah.
So, we don't want that 40-year-old to have a bad experience. So I'm going to teach this person to teach that 40-year-old in a safe, efficient, and effective manner.
Right.
And we do it through fundamentals and drills and skills. Nice.
Where can people find you if they want to, just follow you and like I said, you've been a huge inspiration on my life, and obviously, I think that some other people could learn a lot from you. So where can they find you?
Pretty much, burgenerstrength.com is Bo's website. He's got a website, and Instagram, I'm under Mike Burgener, and then it'll probably have Coach B on there. Coach Burgener. My phone number I give out to everybody, believe it or not. I mean, it's...
No, I believe it.
760-535-1835. And I gave it to my kids in high school. And in fact, I just got a text message from a kid that I coached back in 2005.
Wow.
And now here he is. He's, 35 or 40, and he is now, hey, Coach, can you kind of work with my kid? Type thing, and so he texted me, and if people have questions about the Olympic lifts, come on, give me a call, drop me a text. You can call me, but I may not pick up if you're not in my contact information. So leave a message, and I will call you back.
Yeah. I think that's awesome.
And then my email is Mike Burgener, BURGENER @mac.com, MAC.com. And I answer all emails. So it's just crazy. My wife thinks I'm nuts, but that's all right. thought I was nuts 45 years ago too.
Yeah, she's still around. Nice. Well, yeah, I think my wife thinks the same thing, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shoot, Coach, I think this is awesome. I appreciate it. I'm super excited that you're the first guest on this podcast. And I think there's just a lot of wisdom there that you share. And I can't even explain, like, all the hours that I spent with you in that garage, and just how much you taught me, about even just being a man and an athlete and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that. And I thank you for taking time to, share some of your knowledge with the audience.
Yeah. Thanks, JP. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. That's the end of this episode with Coach B. And as always, let's, keep getting after it. All right, let's go. Thank you for listening to the Highly Effective Man podcast. If you enjoyed or learned something on this episode, do me a favor and share this with somebody who you think needs to hear it. And one last thing, if you want to work with me as your coach to help you get fit, be more productive, and in general, just be the most effective version of yourself, head over to my site, higherlevelcoaching.co. Once again, that's higherlevelcoaching.co, and schedule a call with me there. Thank you again. Let's go.